Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in. This is Gloria Lee, the moderator for the show Women of Courage. Wherever you are in the world, I need you to know one thing right now. You are amazing. I know you might be upset. I know you might be hurting. And I know you might be frustrated. I know because all of these things happened to me. I was homeless for 2 years, and all I had was a computer, my son, and a car. I want you to know you still have a purpose in life, and it is my job to help you believe that again. Do you want to believe? Can you see that the divorce was not meant to take you out? Can you believe that the lost house and the lost job is a setup for something greater? By the end of this broadcast, you'll be injected with so much that you cannot help but believe again. And I am going to help you do just that. Are you ready? I got some things I want to share with you. And I will even make suggestions on books and activities that you can implement, which will ultimately bring healing and wholeness to you. If you are ready to be healed, if you're ready to be whole, just jot down the pointers I give and watch your life transform. No matter what happened, no matter whose fault it was, today is a new day, and your time to live and be free is now. Join me in this journey to wholeness. Your time for total healing is now. Today you shall recover. Wholeness, healness, and peacefulness is in the mind. That is where all battles for life end and begin. The last thing I want to say about the word easy and negotiating with your vagina is a quote from Sally Kempter. It is hard to fight an enemy who has an outpost in your head. I'll repeat it. The quote from Sally Kempton says, it is hard to fight an enemy who has an outpost in your head. So if you keep going to bed with the word easy on your mind, you will never stand up or defeat the Jezebel spirit in you. As I said earlier, I was not satisfied with our last show. So I'm going to repeat some of the information we discussed in earlier programs, especially where I said stop paying attention to someone else's garden. Repetition is the secret to successful learning. The word repetition means to repeat. The word repetition is a noun. It means the action of repeating something that has already been said or written. Also, the recurrence of an action or an event. A thing repeated. A piece set by a teacher to be learned by heart or recited. Here are other definitions of the word repetition. The act or an instance of repeating, reiteration, a thing, a word, or an action. Repetition is a literary device that repeats the same word or phrase a few times to make an idea clearer or more memorable. There are several types of repetition commonly used in both prose and poetry. The act or an instance of repeating or being repeated. A motion or an exercise like a push-up that is repeated and usually counted. The action of repeating something that has already been said is very effective. Repetition is the very simple repeating of words or ideas. As you can see, repetition is a great device to use with respect to learning. A single cycle of lifting and lowering a weight is strength training, and it is called a repetition. The military uses repetition to improve training and learning. You learn by repeating a word, a phrase, or a sentence. The repetition or the restatement of an idea at intervals not only promotes clarity, but it encourages the acceptance of the idea. When you repeat or emphasize one idea, competing ideas are subordinated and sometimes are driven completely out of the mind. This is why when you tell yourself that you don't understand something, but if you keep repeating these ideas or words, they become familiar to you and you stop rejecting them. Repetition is a powerful force in learning. Notice how children are able to recite a character from stories that you have read to them over and over again. They can recite these words with great clarity. When words are repeated at short and long lags and people are required to recall them, the probability of recall increases as the distance between the repetition increases. The most ancient and effective learning tool ever devised by man is repetition. Repetition is a powerful principle. The intentional repetition is a powerful tool. It can be used to make a point. Human beings somehow need to see, hear, and do things again and again in order to acquire any kind of growth or self improvement. Repetition is essential whether it involves memorizing our multiplication table, learning to drive a car, or developing a six pack of abs. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to repeat ideas to give you a second and third chance to consider what we are saying. There is a point in your life where you stop being a child and take responsibility for yourself and others. This is that day. You have decided. You have made the decision to change. You are sick and tired of the person you are and you want to become someone new. Now what do? Well, the first decision you make is to clean your house. Get rid of all the clutter. Don't talk. Don't try to explain anything to anyone. Do not try and explain to anyone why you're doing what you're doing. Just clean. You can spend your entire life trying to justify why you're doing what you're doing. Now just clean your house. I mean, really clean it. Get rid of all the debris, old letters, old clothes, shoes you don't like, clothes you haven't worn in 10 years. Why are you holding on to these old clothes? Don't you think you can buy more clothes? What are you afraid of in the future? That is right. Throw away that coat you hate to wear. Yes, that's the coat you purchased because you thought it was a good buy. Keep nothing from the past that brings you down. Nothing from the past that houses old memories that make you feel bad inside. This is going to be difficult. Throwing away objects from the past is difficult because people form attachments to objects. Robert has to go. Robert left you. His behavior told you he did not love you, so forget Robert. Stop rehashing what you should have done or could have done to get him to stay. There may not have been anything that you could have done to get Robert to stay because you do not know Robert's objective for starting a relationship with you in the first place. You assumed that when he started up with you, he had the same intentions you had to begin and maintain a healthy relationship with another person that might lead to marriage. You made that assumption, yet you do not know if it is true. Actually, Robert may have been between women. He may not have had any intentions of marrying anyone. He was just out for a little fun and you warmed his bed for 9 months. You feel bad because you do not know why he left. Well, stop feeling bad because you will never know why he left. People just leave. You got it? That's correct. People lie. Now, what do you do about it? Find a person you can live with that lifts your spirit. Robert is no longer a part of your life. He is a part of your past and he needs to stay there. Robert smiled and lied and said what he had to say to get what he wanted to get, and now he's gone. What you have to do is learn to look for clues in a person's intentions. Learn to be a better detective and a judger of people. You want to know about the next man's credit report. You don't want to be helping anyone pay their bills. Remember the woman who married a man just so he could help her pay off her student loans, and once her loans were paid off, she divorced him? Remember the woman from Texas who dated her boss until he left his wife? Then she married him and later killed him for his money? Put Robert in the category of these two women and move on. Now, back to the first step. Clean the area around you. You want to remove all the clutter in your living space. When you look at the space around you, you want it to be or bring you happiness or pleasure, or the thoughts will be good thoughts. You do not want anything around you to remind you of your old self. That includes friends. If they keep talking to you about your past, if you have a girlfriend or a friend and the first thing out of their mouth is, "Girl, do you remember so and so?" You want to get rid of these people and keep them on a short leash. You do not need a friend that keeps reminding you of things that are unpleasant. You need a friend who will carry or walk with you into the future. Now, once your living space is clean, you need to tell yourself it's going to remain this way. I mean, clean the bathroom, the bedroom, the kitchen, the attic, the basement. I want all the debris from the past removed from your home. Everywhere, remove objects from the past that elicit bad emotions. I will not live with anything that makes me unhappy. That's what you need to say to yourself. Now go to your car and clean your car. I mean, really clean it so when you sit in your car, your body feels good. See, you not only have to tell yourself that you're important, you have to demonstrate to yourself you are important. So you deserve to live in a nice, clean, pleasant environment. Now, at this point, your house or your apartment should be clean. Your clothes should be clean and your car should be clean. Now you're on your way to being a new you. Do not go out and buy a bunch of new clothes. Save your money. Later on, your savings will become extremely important. This is your backup to protect yourself in case something bad happens. Remember the old saying, look before you leap. This time you will take a longer look at the next Robert or the next best friend or the next best coworker before you leap. I have a reason for telling you to save your money. What happens if you date a stalker? Okay? And he refuses to leave you alone. Suppose you have to move. Where are you going to get the money to move? Don't forget to clean under your bed, on top of the refrigerator, and under and behind the stove. Now, the next step is the self evaluation of your body. That is correct. You cannot move forward unless you deal with your physical image. Be honest. Do you hate your hair? Do you hate your shoe size? Whatever you hate or dislike about yourself, write it down on a sheet of paper. Make a list of your likes and your dislikes about your physical appearance. Not behavior, just your physical appearance. Believe it or not, once you bring your thoughts out into the open, you can see better. This exercise will help you determine if your expectations are realistic. You may not be aware that your thinking is faulty, and your faulty thinking may be in part the reason why you're unhappy. Third, make a list of people you like and dislike. That's right, people who you like and dislike. You are going to analyze your thinking. One thing this exercise is going to bring out in you, you will see the people that you envy, hate, or are jealous of. That is correct. You are jealous and envious of other people, and you are unhappy because of it. You can make people around you unhappy, meaning your children and your husband. This exercise is a self examination of yourself. Okay, you have two lists: a list of what you like and do not like about your physical appearance, and you have another list of people you like and dislike. Now, next to each item, write down what you can do about it. Okay, you dislike your shoe size. What can you do about it? Nothing. I know of no operation you can have to reduce the size of your feet. Now, next to that, write down what you can actually going to do about this problem. We'll have two columns. First, what you dislike, what you can do about the problem, and what you think you're actually going to do about the problem. I mean, write a full-blown essay about your physical appearance and what you're willing to do about it and what you're not willing to do about it and what you do not like about yourself. One action that may result from this exercise is you may learn to accept some of your physical characteristics. You may make peace with yourself that your skin will never be porcelain. You will never look like Elizabeth Taylor. You can't saw your toes off so your feet will be smaller. The goal here is for you to get some peace with yourself, to learn whether or not you have realistic expectations for yourself. Learn why you envy and hate people in your life. Just be honest. You hate Alice because all the men at the club like Alice. No one just walks up and buys you a drink. Alice's life seems to be magical. Everyone likes her. She has a good job and has a house and everything. More people like Alice than you. You would like to smash her in the face. Some things we desire may not be possible, and to live a good life, we may just have to accept that and go on. You will never have small feet like Dorothy, so you might as well go on with your life. You will never have natural blonde hair because it is genetically impossible. Your ancestors did not have blonde hair. Stop being envious of others. In other words, stop looking in someone else's garden. You need to pay attention to your garden. Do you remember King Ahab, who wanted another man's garden? He and his wife killed Nabal because Nabal would not sell his garden. Because of this sin, God destroyed the entire male line of King Ahab. Not one of his descendants are alive on earth today because of King Ahab's jealousy. King Ahab had more than Nabal, yet King Ahab was not satisfied. He had to possess another man's garden. Also, you need to mind your own business and stop watching Matthew and Joyce talking at work. It is none of your business what they are discussing or doing. Maybe Joyce talks to Matthew because he's a good listener and she's confident that he'll keep his mouth closed and not tell her business. She has problems at home, but he reassures her that things will work out. She looks forward to coming to work because Matthew is there. Maybe Matthew listens to Joyce because he feels if someone had listened to his mother would not have committed suicide. You do not know what is motivating other people around you. But one thing is for certain, when you spend so much time watching their relationship, you do not have time for your own. Maybe that's why you can't find your husband. In fact, you need to realize that people you envy probably care nothing about you. In fact, they may not even know your name. In fact, the woman at work probably doesn't know you exist. She is so busy taking care of her family and living her life to be concerned with who you are or what you're doing. So pay attention to your life and leave other people alone. In fact, your husband might have divorced you because he was tired of you always paying attention to what other people were doing because you became obsessed with prying into other lives instead of developing your own. Many times if you start the conversation with your husband by saying, Alice's husband does so and so, or Mary's husband just got a raise, or Brenda's husband just bought a new truck and he took her to the Bahamas for her birthday. You really need to start thinking about the thoughts that are going through your mind. Just because you think it does not make that thought true. It is easy to point your finger outwardly rather than face yourself. It may make you feel better talking about someone else or pointing your finger at someone else's behavior. But what about you? If you are sick and tired of being you, then you need to change. And the first change you need to make is to be honest with yourself. There is a point in life where you stop being a child and you take responsibility for yourself and others. Grow up. Life is not a fantasy. Spend time developing yourself, and just maybe you will find someone to live your life with and have children who will adore you rather than despise your existence because you were too busy spying in someone else's garden. Now let us review some of the prerequisites for change. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break.
Oftentimes, fear is defined as fantasized experiences appearing real. We all fear something. It could be doing what's never been done, or being scared for no just cause. These fears hold us down and create a fantasized, albeit unreal, experience. If you must move ahead in life, you must stand up to your fear. If you must be successful, you must pull through the unreal experiences that fear has created in you. And trust me, you need a good dose of courage to do exactly that. With courage, there's no stopping you. How can you summon the courage to face your fears? As a woman, you're amazing and you have great capabilities. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. How then can you maximize these great capabilities? As you'll find out in the series, Women of Courage, the women we wrote about succeeded against all odds simply by standing up for themselves. Just like them, you can make your life count too.
You can find the series Women of Courage at www.touchedbythelight.us.
Every year, thousands of books are written on how to achieve our dreams, how to live a happier life, or make a lot of money. Yet, the number of people living unhappy lives keeps going up. People living a life of uncertainty, a life of despair. What could be the problem? Were the books lying about these promises, or were people not practicing what they read? You see, the truth is that most times we know exactly what we want out of life, and we often know how to get there. So, what is the missing link? It's the courage to take that first step, to go from where we are right now to the life of freedom and fulfillment we so much desire. We must first leave our comfort zone, and it takes courage to make that move. And that is exactly where all those books failed. They tell you what you should do, but can't get you to take that first step. A wise man once said, "Without courage, you can't leave your comfort zone. If you don't leave your comfort zone, you can't grow. If you can't grow, you can't be your best. And if you can't be your best, you can't be happy."
You can find the series Women of Courage at www.touchedbythelight.us.
Are you sick and tired of being you? Do you want another life, a second chance? Then it's time to change. It's time for you to find out who you are. It's time for you to stand up for yourself. It's time for you to think for yourself. It's time to rid your mind of poisonous beliefs like women should only be seen and not heard. It's time for you to learn how other women accomplished their goals. For more information regarding women of courage and to be among the countless women learning to manage the challenges, limitations, and rejections of life, go to https://touchedbythelight.us.
We live in a society that has created an impression that a woman is limited in what she can do. The society lets you see yourself as a weaker human who should not aspire to greater things. Most of us grew up with that mentality and thus turned out to be unambitious. Good news is there are lots of women out there just like you who have turned their lives around dramatically. There's one underlying factor common to all these women: courage. They were courageous in the face of societal intimidation. They were courageous enough to move against societal norms that were unacceptable to them. They were courageous when it mattered most, thus writing their names in the sands of time. Reading the series Women of Courage is a good place to learn about the significant role courage plays in achieving great things in life.
You can find the series Women of Courage at www.touchedbythelight.us. This announcement is to say that the Women of Courage show will be participating in the Authors Pop-Up Shop at the American Legion, Hall 346 at 31775 Grand River Avenue, Farmington, Michigan. The Authors Pop-Up Shop at the American Legion, Hall 346 is being held Saturday, February 9th, 2019 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Farmington, Michigan. The event again is being held at 31775 Grand River in Farmington, Michigan. This pop-up shop is intended to support the work of Metro Detroit authors and to engage our community. This event will give Metro Detroit authors a chance to display their talent, network, and meet the community and other authors. Come meet and greet and buy books and get them signed from a diverse group of Metro Detroit authors. Choose from nonfiction, romance, self-help, urban fiction, Christian fiction, empowerment, hip-hop, love stories, coming of age, and children's books. The event is organized by an Abigail Rose. Abigail spelled Abiegail. She is the one that has made the arrangements for the pop-up shop. You can go to her Facebook page to obtain tickets. She is also holding an business expo event on the same day at the same time. Again, the Women of Courage show will be attending the Authors Pop-Up Shop at the American Legion on Saturday, February 9th, 2019. We will see you there. Please complete this exercise. The exercise that I just gave you is extremely important. It will help you first sort out your thoughts, then help you control your thoughts. It will help you bring you back into focus and help you face reality. You will find examples of your faulty thinking. If you can't do anything about your shoe size, why are you letting your shoe size keep you upset all day? This exercise will also reveal your fantasy world. It will help you to see what is real and what is imagined. You need a clear head when you leave home in the morning. You need to approach your day with the anticipation of well-being or happiness, not dread. Stop reliving the same day over and over again, carrying around dead thoughts. Stop feeling angry and frustrated over what you do not have or what you think you could have been. Do you know there are thousands of people who have not left high school? They keep reliving a day in the gym or when they fell on the racetrack or how they could not climb the rope in gym class Over and over again, they keep repeating these actions until it makes them sick, where they cannot live the day that they are actually living in. They go somewhere to hide. So stop letting the thoughts of the past force you into feelings of anger and resentment. The past is dead. There's nothing you can do about it. You cannot relive those days. Those days are gone. What you need to do is attend to the future. What are you going to do today? Make plans for the future, short term and long term plans. Then pay attention to what you are doing that you can bring to fruition. Stop thinking about the person that you could be and start being about bringing that person into being. I made a mistake about the columns that you need. You need a column for what you like about your body and what you do not like about your body. Then what you can do about your body and what you're not going to do about your body. The next area of examination is the people who you like and dislike. Put the person's name down that you dislike. Next to that column, put down what you dislike about them. And then put down what you're going to do about them and what you're not going to do about them. This should really give you insight into yourself. It should tell you why you're motivated and why you do the things that you do. Do you know that maybe your life is a mess because you lack self-esteem? Self-esteem is a big problem for quite a few people. The lack of self-esteem have made people debase themselves, and they set themselves up to be used over and over again by other people. There was a woman in Texas. She was a teacher. She had a master's degree. She worked hard to make something of her life. She was making good money. She took up with this no good man who had a pregnant girlfriend at home. He used her over and over again sexually, promising her whatever. Finally, the teacher drove to his home and killed his pregnant girlfriend. She shot the girlfriend in the garage. Now she shall spend the rest of her life in a Texas prison. She will never get out. There was a woman living in Wisconsin. She introduced her co-worker to the father of her child. The co-worker began to date the boyfriend behind her back. Finally, her co-worker was pregnant. Once the woman learned of the pregnancy, she shot the woman to death. Now, this particular woman is in prison in Wisconsin, and she was sentenced to life. There was a woman in Maryland. She was dating a man who had a pregnant girlfriend at home. The woman enlisted the help of a friend. The two women posed as cosmetic saleswomen. They entered the pregnant woman's home and killed her. The woman stated in court after she was apprehended that she killed the woman because she was going to marry the woman's boyfriend. She said she could make him happier more than the pregnant woman could. Now this woman is in prison. There was a woman in Michigan. She started spying on her boyfriend. She couldn't work for spying on her boyfriend. Finally, late one night, she saw him standing outside his home in Southfield talking to a young college student. In her anger, she drove over the college student and killed her. The woman went to prison. She had a house full of children. Now her children are left without a parent. You notice in all of these cases, the women did not kill the men, but they killed the woman. There is a woman that was living in the D.C., Maryland area. She had a great job. She worked for the government. She was living a decent life until she met this swine. He finally talked her into muling for him. She began to pick up and deliver drugs for him. His story to her is he was trying to make enough money to go into business for himself. Unknown to her, he began to have a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old girl. Finally, the man was caught as a drug dealer and put in jail. While in jail, the woman would go and see him and tend to his needs, like leaving him a little money and cigarettes or whatever. One visiting day, she caught him sitting with a 16-year-old girl who was holding an infant in her arms. The man let her know that the child was his and that he didn't no longer need her, so she didn't have to visit him anymore. He was done with her. He had used her up and she was of no more value. The woman found out where the 16-year-old lived. She got a gun from a male relative and drove to Virginia, called the 16-year-old outside her house to talk. While talking, the woman shot the 16-year-old. The 16-year-old dropped her child on the ground. While the child was on the ground, the woman shot the infant. The woman is now in prison. The woman was eventually apprehended. She was convicted of double murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. The woman was a young woman, so she will have long years to spend in prison. Yes, the drug dealer is now out of prison. The man who ruined the teacher's life, who was living in Texas, he married a woman a year after his pregnant girlfriend was shot in the garage. That lets you know how long he grieved. Oh yes, all of the boyfriends in every one of these cases were called into court to testify that they were dating the two women at the same time. And they had to testify as to their behavior all during the romance. They had to say how many sexual encounters they had, when, and where. The prosecutors made certain that they let the world know what type of men these were and that these men contributed to these murders even though the men did not pull the trigger. The question is, what do you see when you look in the mirror and what do you see in your mind? We're going to discuss self-image and confidence. Self-image is how you see yourself. This may be how you see yourself physically or your opinion of who and what you are, which is normally called self-concept. It is important as it affects your self-esteem and confidence. Your self-image includes what you think you look like, how you see yourself personally, what kind of person you think you are, what you believe others think of you, how much you like yourself or you think others like you, the status you feel you have. What does self-image have to do with self-esteem? Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. Image is about how you see yourself and how you believe others see you. They are closely connected because if you have a poor opinion of yourself, your self-esteem will be low. You need to read books that will show you how to feel good about yourself. If you're having problems with relationships, it could be your self-image. Image has to do with perception. How you see yourself is vital because this will affect your behavior, your thinking, and how you relate to others. People respond to you either positively or negatively according to how confident you are. Your confidence in relationship depends on the image you have of yourself. Consequently, you should concentrate on improving your communication skills. By doing this, you are self-assured that you are communicating with people correctly. How you see yourself is often different from how others see you. Your view of yourself is shaped by your unique thoughts and beliefs, and you will have a distorted view. You will see yourself in a positive or negative way according to your level of self-esteem. You may have a negative view of yourself, and if so, you are probably highly critical of yourself. Here's a good question. How do you improve your self-esteem and confidence? You want to increase your self-confidence at work, in your daily life, or improve your relationships? First, list things you like about yourself. Include your appearance, your personality, and your skills. Now you need to change negative thoughts into positive thoughts by focusing on the positive aspects of yourself, forgetting the negative things that happen to you. Remember the compliments that people have given you and note them down. You should pay close attention to whether your view of yourself is accurate and why you see yourself the way you do. Changes that will help you. For example, your clothes, your appearance, your hairstyle, and your behavior. Accept things about yourself that are true and learn about them in a positive manner. If you wear a size 8 shoe, you wear a size 8 shoe. There's nothing you can do about it. So accept it. Make certain that you get exercise so you will look and feel better. Take yourself less seriously and lighten up. Accept criticism constructively so you can move forward and improve yourself. Don't be limited by your internal image. Step outside of it and break free. It does not have to control you or keep you down. Acting differently will change how others respond toward you and will help change your attitude toward yourself and your abilities. Take on challenges positively and surprise yourself. Read inspiring books such as You Are the Prophet of Your Life and Women of Courage. You are only limited by your efforts and your confidence. Believe in yourself. Now, what about a positive self image and self esteem? What is a self image? A self image is the idea, conception, or mental image one has of oneself. Self esteem, respect, or favorable image of oneself. Self image is how you perceive yourself. It is a number of self impressions that have built up over time. What are your hopes and dreams? What do you think and feel? What have you done throughout your life and what did you want to do? These self images can be very positive, giving a person confidence in their and actions, or negative, making a person doubtful of their capabilities and ideas. Surprisingly, your self image can be very different from how the world sees you. Some people who outwardly seem to have it all, intellect, looks, personality, and financial success, may have a bad self image. Conversely, others who have had a very difficult life and multiple hardships may also have a very positive self image. Some believe that a person's self image is defined by events that affect him or her doing well or not doing well in school or relationships. Others believe that a person's self image can help shape those events. There is probably some truth in both schools of thought. Failing at something can certainly cause one to feel bad about oneself, just as feeling good about oneself can lead one to a better performance on a project. But it cannot be denied that your self image has a very strong impact on your happiness, and your outlook on life can affect those around you. If you project a positive self image, people will be more likely to see you in a positive, capable person. However, it is important that your self image be both positive and realistic. Having a self image that is unrealistic can be a drawback, whether the self image is negative or positive. Sometimes having an occasional negative thought or criticism about oneself can encourage change, hard work, growth, and success. Sometimes having too positive an image of oneself can encourage complacency, underachievement, and arrogance. Finding the balance between feeling positive about oneself and having realistic goals is important. Today's discussion will center around the word self esteem and reading. Reading will lead you to knowledge of yourself and others. The word self esteem is a noun, and it is defined as a confidence and satisfaction in oneself, self respect, self conceit. So everything is fine as long as a person has a good self image of self. They are happy with their accomplishments. They are happy with the way they think people see them. They are happy with their marriage. They're happy with their bank account, their house, car, as compared to others. Wholesome self esteem is the conviction that one is as worthwhile as anyone else, but not more so. But when one's self esteem is low, all sorts of disasters happen. Signs of low self esteem: a person always says, I'm sorry for no reason. They are afraid to make a mistake. They expect rebuke or ridicule. They have a sinking mode. Research has shown that signs of low self esteem are sensitivity to criticism, social withdrawal, hostility, excessive preoccupation with personal problems, physical symptoms such as fatigue, insomnia, and headache. Sometimes people put on a false front to impress others, like not paying one's house note or car note to buy a $200 purse to impress others, spending hours in a nail salon purchasing false nails for hundreds of dollars. People with low self esteem struggle with self critical, negative thoughts. They are constantly criticizing themselves. Their thoughts often criticize and hold them back from going after what they really want in life. When a person feels worthless, they can start to show poor performance or stop trying to achieve in areas in which they feel defeated, academically, professionally, or personally. Failure can be especially tough on people with low self esteem. They experience more shame than others. Low self esteem is learned. Learned inaccurate information that you in some way are not enough, that you don't matter, that your feelings are wrong, or that you don't deserve respect. Keep in mind that learned behavior can be unlearned. Some people have grown up with false beliefs. Often these beliefs get handed down from generation to generation. A person may not have been told these things directly, but they have been inferred from behavior and attitude of family, friends, and events. You may not be conscious of these beliefs about yourself. This is especially true of women. Women should speak softly as not to be seen as confrontational, making them less desirable as a wife. Women do not want to appear boastful of their accomplishments because this will make them unsuitable as a wife. Consequently, your true goal is to be a wife. Women should not wear pants because they should not appear manly. This makes them undesirable to men. A woman's main objective is to appear desirable. Book learning is not important. No man wants a woman smarter than he is. The list goes on and on for undesirable behaviors for women, holding them back from living the life they desire. Millions and millions and millions of women have gone to their grave because they did not live the eventful life and fulfilling life that they wanted. All because they were told what they should and should not do. People have many fears and anxieties based on false ideas about themselves and others. For example, many think that making a mistake is unacceptable and shameful. They become anxious about taking risks, trying something new, or expressing their opinion because they're afraid of failure or looking foolish. Pay attention to what I just said. People have many fears and anxieties based upon false ideas about themselves and others. For example, many think making a mistake is unacceptable and shameful. They become anxious about taking risks, trying something new, or expressing their opinion because they're afraid of failure or to look foolish. Is that a description of you? Most people do not realize that they unconsciously believe that they are unlovable, unlikable, flawed, or somehow inadequate. Even if they are aware of these false beliefs, they convince themselves that this is the truth. As a result, they're anxious about revealing who they are and please, control, or impress others so they'll be loved and not rejected. Other people withdraw rather than risk abandonment. People judge themselves based upon their erroneous beliefs and imagine others are judging them the same. Sometimes I witness one spouse claim that the other is criticizing him or her when that isn't the truth. The false belief about unworthiness undermines self esteem and security and has serious consequences to your life. Your lack of confidence and self trust lives in doubt and continuously self guess yourself. Many people do not feel worthy of being in a position of authority or having success or even happiness. Most people who are convinced that they are bad can end up in relationships with people who are emotionally or physically abusive, which reinforces and worsens their low self esteem. Listen to this sentence again. Those who are convinced that they're bad can end up in relationships with people who are emotionally or physically abusive, which reinforces and worsens their low self esteem. At a conscious level, they may be indignant and think that they deserve better, but still they stay and try to get the abuser to approve them. Some stay because they believe the abuser loves them, which helps them overcome their belief that they're unlovable and that no one else will ever love them. When you grow up with the message that you shouldn't feel a certain way or that it is unsafe to express certain feelings, you start to believe it. An example includes being told not to get excited, being punished for anger, or having your distress or sadness ignored. Some shaming parents will tell their children not to cry, or I'll give you something to cry for. As an adult, you judge and dishonor your feelings. You hide them, sometimes even from yourself. If you don't believe that that's all right to be angry, you might behave passive aggressively or become depressed or have physical symptoms unaware of how angry you are. This behavior is destructive to relationships. Some people withhold sex or have affairs because they're angry instead of talking about their relationship problems. Keep in mind, I said earlier that if a behavior is learned, it can be unlearned. Changing behavior starts with awareness. You can become aware of your beliefs by paying attention to the way you talk to yourself. We all conduct an internal dialogue with ourselves each and every day, each and every hour of the day. Pay attention to what you're saying to yourself. Write down all the negative things you say to yourself. Become aware of your inner voice. This is your critic. This critic affects your mood and well being. You must bring this critic under control. This is why it is extremely important that you write down all negative thoughts that you have during the day that bring you to a low ebb. Note the gaps between your intentions and actions. Journal about this discrepancy and your interactions with others. Analyze the beliefs motivating your behavior. Ask yourself, where did these beliefs come from? Yes, this is going to be painful, but only temporary because you're seeking knowledge of yourself. So you have to undergo this pain in order to change your behavior so you can live a better life. The most important belief to have is the belief that you can change. You should seek professional help so that you can be taught techniques that will help you control for periods of dread and anxiousness. Your mind is a powerful creative gift. Learn to use your mind to work for yourself, not against you. Seeking professional help is not a sign of weakness. It is actually smart. Why not get help from a person professionally trained to lead people from despair to happiness? We enjoy your listening to the Women of Courage show at WHPR every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. And we support your local hairstylist. Do not forget to go to touchedbythelight.us website and download a copy of the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer. This is very important information, and we would appreciate it if you email a copy of this booklet to 5 other women. We are trying to reach 1 million people with this booklet. Help us reach our goal. Your emailing this booklet to another woman can help save a life. Thank you. Recovering your life from foreclosure, bankruptcy, divorce, or other personal tragedies is not easy, but you must believe. You may be wounded, broken, battered, and hurt by life, but you must stand up and fight. People often say, when you're going through hell, never give up. It's easy for someone to say this, but talk is cheap. But you are in a place where every turn you take are met with a challenge or trouble. one thing after another. I'm not here to simply tell you not to give up. I understand what it means to be going through what you're going through right now. I slept on a cement floor being bitten by spiders to survive. However, I'm here to tell you that change is possible. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but you must hang on and do as I tell you. Yes, change is possible. I want you to hope and to believe against even all evidence. Despair is no respecter of status. It is no respecter of age, background, gender, or color. Somewhere right now there is a child crying, a man high on drugs, a mother dancing in a club just to pay her bills. Somewhere right now out there is a person heartbroken, a loss of a dear one, a failed promise of love. Somewhere out there is a person clothed in rags, without a home, without affection, and without a family, and without love. Somewhere right now, someone out there is broken, going through a rough time. I say unto you, hold on, stand fast. You can restore and recover your life. You must believe that you are worth fighting for, regardless of what the world says. When I lost everything and had to live in my car, I had a person to forecast gloom and doom into my life. She said the only person in the world that I loved would desert me. This did not happen. When a doctor punched a hole in my heart and sewn me back up, and I bled inside my chest cavity for 7 days, I did not die. God sent me an angel to help me. When cancer visited me, I did not die. God sent me an angel to stand by me. I still have both these friends today. They have seen the best of me and the worst of me. I say unto you, believe and stand fast. Help is on the way. Thank you for listening to Women of Courage, and have a great day.